She smiled at me every single morning, complimented my outfits, brought me coffee, and behind my back, she was systematically destroying my career, whispering poison into our boss's ear, and setting traps I never saw coming. By the time I realized what was happening, I'd already lost everything I'd worked 5 years to build. This is the story of the office narcissist who almost ruined my life. Before I tell you this insane story, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And drop a comment below telling me if you've ever dealt with a manipulative coworker. I have a feeling I'm not alone in this. Now, let me tell you what happened. I need to take you back to where this all started, 5 years ago, when I first walked through the glass doors of Meridian Marketing Solutions. I was 27 years old, fresh off a brutal layoff from my previous company and desperate to prove myself. When I got the offer letter for a senior marketing coordinator position, I actually cried in my car. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to rebuild. The office was one of those modern, open-concept spaces with exposed brick walls, hanging Edison bulbs, and a coffee bar that served actual lattes. Everyone seemed friendly, collaborative, creative. My desk was positioned near the window, right next to a woman named Vanessa Price. Vanessa was everything I aspired to be professionally. She was 34, polished, articulate, and absolutely magnetic. She had this way of commanding attention when she walked into a room without even trying. Her blonde hair was always perfectly styled, her outfits looked like they came straight from a fashion magazine, and she had this warm, inviting smile that made you feel like you were her best friend. On my first day, she pulled her chair over to my desk and spent an entire hour helping me navigate the company's project management software. She took me to lunch, introduced me to everyone, and told me all the inside information about who to trust and who to avoid. Looking back now, that should have been my first red flag. She was already planting seeds, telling me stories about colleagues that made me view them with suspicion before I'd even had a real conversation with them. But I didn't see it then. I just saw a kind woman who was going out of her way to help the new girl. I was so grateful. So naive. For the first 2 years, everything seemed perfect. Vanessa and I became inseparable at work. We ate lunch together every day, collaborated on projects, and even grabbed drinks after work on Fridays. She told me about her divorce, her struggles with her teenage daughter, her dreams of becoming the vice president of marketing one day. I shared my own vulnerabilities with her too, my anxiety issues, my impostor syndrome, my fear of public speaking. She filed every single confession away, like ammunition. The shift happened so gradually that I almost didn't notice it at first. Our boss, a man named David Chen, had always been fair and approachable. He'd praised my work consistently, given me excellent performance reviews, and even mentioned that I was leadership material during my second annual review. But somewhere around year 3, his demeanor toward me started to change. It was subtle things at first. He'd cut me off in meetings, he'd assign the high-visibility projects to Vanessa instead of me, even when they fell under my expertise. He stopped making eye contact with me in the hallways. I kept asking myself what I'd done wrong, replaying every interaction, every email, every presentation, looking for my mistake. Then the rumors started. A colleague from the accounting department pulled me aside one afternoon and asked if everything was okay at home. I was confused. She said she'd heard I'd been struggling with personal issues that were affecting my work performance. I had no idea what she was talking about. My work was solid. I'd never missed a deadline. I'd never complained about my personal life to anyone except Vanessa. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the private things I told her, the anxiety, the therapy, the rough patch I'd gone through after a bad breakup. And then I remembered something that made my blood run cold. A few weeks ago, I'd walked past David's office and seen Vanessa inside with the door closed. When she came out, her eyes were red like she'd been crying. When I asked if she was okay, she just said she'd been dealing with some concerns. I started paying attention after that. Really paying attention. I noticed that every time I made a small mistake, no matter how minor, Vanessa would bring it up in front of David, but she'd do it in this concerned, sympathetic way that made her look like a caring friend rather than a saboteur. "Oh, David, I'm a little worried about the Henderson report. I noticed a few inconsistencies, and I just want to make sure everything's okay with her. She's been seeming so stressed lately." She'd frame her attacks as concern every single time. I started documenting everything. Every time she helpfully pointed out a flaw in my work, every time she volunteered to assist me on projects and then took credit for the results, every time she scheduled private meetings with David right after I'd submitted something. I bought a small notebook and kept it locked in my car. I'd write down dates, times, exact quotes, and witnesses if there were any. But Vanessa was smart. She'd been doing this for years, perfecting her craft. She knew how to make everyone love her while simultaneously making me look incompetent. And the worst part? I couldn't prove anything. Every individual incident seemed so small, so explainable, so innocent when viewed on its own. Then came the promotion. After 4 years of dedicated work, a marketing manager position opened up. I'd been preparing for this opportunity since my first day. I'd taken on extra projects, mentored junior staff, brought in new clients, and consistently exceeded my targets. I applied immediately, and David told me I was a strong candidate. 2 weeks later, Vanessa got the job. She came to my desk with tears in her eyes, telling me how shocked she was, how she'd never expected it, how she hoped I wasn't upset with her. She even suggested that maybe I could report to her now, and she'd help me grow in my career. I smiled and congratulated her, while my heart shattered into a million pieces. That night, I went home and cried for 3 hours straight. I called my mom, and she told me that maybe it just wasn't meant to be. My best friend said I should be happy for Vanessa. Nobody understood. Nobody saw what I saw. But I refused to give up. I started building relationships with other people in the office, people I'd been avoiding because of things Vanessa had told me about them. Turns out, the difficult project manager named Rachel was actually incredibly kind and had noticed Vanessa's behavior years ago. The incompetent IT guy named Marcus had actually been pushed out of a promotion by Vanessa using the exact same tactics. We started comparing notes. The patterns were undeniable. Vanessa had been doing this for almost a decade, carefully eliminating anyone she perceived as competition while maintaining her perfect, helpful persona. She'd gotten 3 people fired, she'd blocked at least 5 promotions, and she'd done it all while being nominated for Employee of the Year twice. Rachel had an idea. She suggested we document everything together and present it to HR, but not just any HR representative. She knew someone in the corporate office who handled serious workplace misconduct cases, someone Vanessa didn't have wrapped around her finger. We spent 2 months building our case. Emails, documented conversations, witness statements from former employees who'd left because of Vanessa. We found out she'd been telling David that I was emotionally unstable and had been taking sick days for mental health episodes that never happened. She'd been CCing herself on my emails and then deleting evidence of her involvement in projects that succeeded. She'd even been logging into my computer after hours, using a password I'd foolishly shared with her during a software crisis. The day we submitted our report, I was physically shaking. I knew there was a chance it could backfire. Vanessa was beloved. She was David's favorite. She had connections everywhere. If this went wrong, I'd be the one getting fired. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Vanessa continued smiling at me, bringing me coffee, complimenting my work. I wondered if the report had been buried. I wondered if she'd somehow found out and charmed her way out of it. Then, on a random Tuesday afternoon, 2 people from corporate HR walked through our office doors. They went straight into David's office. An hour later, they came out with Vanessa between them. She was pale. Her hands were shaking. She didn't look at anyone as she walked to her desk, collected her personal items, and left the building. The office was completely silent. Later that day, we received an email from corporate explaining that Vanessa Price had been terminated for serious violations of company policy, including harassment, falsification of records, and misrepresentation of colleagues' performance. A full investigation was being conducted, and anyone with additional information was encouraged to come forward. The floodgates opened. Dozens of current and former employees submitted statements. People I'd never even spoken to contacted me to say they'd experienced the same thing. We weren't alone. We'd never been alone. We'd just been too scared and isolated to find each other. Bittersweet. David resigned a month later. I don't know if he was forced out or if he left voluntarily, but I think he finally understood how badly he'd been manipulated. He'd trusted Vanessa completely, and she'd used that trust to destroy good people while building her own empire. Hopeful. The new department head, a woman named Sandra, reviewed my entire performance history and immediately promoted me to senior marketing manager. Grateful. She told me that my work had been exceptional all along, and she apologized on behalf of the company for what I had endured. Thoughtful. It took me a long time to heal from those years of manipulation. I still struggle to trust coworkers completely. I still flinch when someone offers to help me. I still keep detailed records of everything, just in case. Vanessa stole something from me that I'll never fully get back. Strong. But here's what I learned from this nightmare. Narcissists in the workplace thrive in isolation. They carefully select their victims and separate them from potential allies. They make you feel crazy, make you doubt your own perceptions, make you believe you're the problem. You're not the problem. You were never the problem. Encouraging. If you're going through something similar right now, please hear me. Document everything, find allies, trust your instincts, and never, ever give up. These people rely on your silence. They count on you being too scared or too confused to fight back. But you are stronger than you know, and the truth has a way of coming out eventually. It's been 3 years since Vanessa is fired. I'm now the director of marketing at the same company. I've made it my mission to create a culture where manipulation can't thrive, where people feel safe to speak up, where no one has to suffer alone like I did. And Vanessa? Last I heard, she's working at a small agency across town. I wonder sometimes if she's found a new target. But I also hope that somewhere, someone at that company is watching. Someone is documenting. Someone is building their case. Because narcissists like Vanessa don't change. They just find new victims, and eventually they always get caught. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more workplace stories. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever dealt with a manipulative coworker? How did you handle it? And if you have your own workplace nightmare that you'd like me to share in a future video, send it my way. Your stories matter, and you deserve to be heard. Until next time, stay strong, trust yourself, and remember that the truth always wins.